The dust hadn't settled from the morning wind when I first heard the trumpeting. Shrill, panicked, echoing across the Tanzanian plains like a cry for help. 5 hyenas had the baby elephant cornered against a rocky outcrop. The calf couldn't have been more than 2 months old, her wrinkled gray skin still loose on her small frame, her oversized ears flapping frantically as she spun in circles. She charged at the pack leader, a scarred female with a missing eye, but her tiny trunk was no threat. The hyenas tightened their circle, their whooping calls turning menacing. I'd seen this before as a wildlife conservationist. They'd exhaust the calf first, then go for the kill. The lead hyena feinted left, jaws snapping toward the calf's face. The baby stumbled backward, and another hyena rushed in from the side, teeth aimed at her hind leg. I floored the Land Cruiser and crashed through the acacia scrub, branches scraping against the doors. The clearing was maybe 25 meters away, and I could see a third hyena circling for a hamstring attack, textbook predator strategy. I skidded the vehicle between them, laid on the horn, and the hyenas backed off about 10 paces. But they didn't flee. They regrouped, cackling among themselves, calculating their next move. I grabbed my bear banger from the kit and fired it into the air. The explosive crack finally shattered their confidence. The one-eyed leader barked sharply, and the pack loped into the tall grass. But I knew they'd be watching from the shadows. The baby elephant stood trembling near the rocks, a shallow bite mark bleeding on her tail. The wound wasn't serious, more a warning than real damage. I approached slowly, keeping my movements calm and predictable. The calf's ears flattened against her head, but she didn't run. Instead, she took 2 shaky steps toward me and touched my shoulder with her trunk, a gesture so trusting it caught me off guard. This calf was completely alone. Elephants never abandon their young, which meant something catastrophic had happened. Maybe poachers had scattered the herd. Maybe she'd wandered during a river crossing and gotten separated. Whatever the cause, leaving her here was a death sentence. Those hyenas would return within minutes of my departure. I pulled out my satellite phone. Base, this is Dr. Amara Okonkwo. I've found an orphaned elephant calf, approximately 8 weeks old, near the Mara River crossing. No herd in sight. I'm going to track them. Stand by for updates. I needed to find her family, and fast. I scanned the ground for signs, large footprints in the red earth, broken branches, fresh dung piles. About 30 meters to the east, I spotted deep impressions in the soil. Adult elephants had passed through recently. The crushed grass was still green and hadn't wilted yet. The tracks headed west toward the escarpment. I started walking, and the calf immediately followed, her small legs working hard to match my stride. She stayed glued to my side, her trunk occasionally reaching up to touch my arm, clearly terrified of being alone again. We followed the trail through sparse woodland. Evidence was everywhere. Bark stripped from trees at heights I couldn't reach, massive dung piles still steaming slightly, mud wallows recently churned. The herd had come through here less than an hour ago. 30 minutes into our trek, we reached a dry riverbed, and I stopped cold. A herd of Cape buffalo was spread across the far bank, maybe 50 animals, with several massive bulls standing guard. They noticed us immediately. The nearest bull raised his head, his boss, the thick horn base, gleaming in the sun, his curved horns capable of goring a lion. Buffalo are responsible for more human deaths in Africa than any other large animal, and we were standing directly in the path the elephant tracks followed. The bull snorted and took several aggressive steps forward, lowering his massive head. The baby elephant pressed herself against my legs and made a frightened squeak. I knew the protocol. No running, avoid eye contact, move deliberately and slowly. I placed my hand on the calf's back and began moving laterally, step by careful step. The bull suddenly charged forward 3 paces and stopped, a bluff charge. The calf panicked and tried to bolt. I grabbed her ear firmly and held her in place, continuing our slow sideways movement. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I didn't speed up. 2 more bulls rose and joined the first, all 3 watching us with lethal intent. We made a wide semicircle around the herd, moving through knee-high grass for about 20 minutes. Gradually, the buffalo lost interest and returned to grazing. When we finally cleared their territory, I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. The elephant tracks continued toward a grove of fever trees on the hillside. 45 minutes later, I heard what I'd been hoping for, the low rumbles and digestive gurgles of elephants somewhere beyond the trees. I quickened my pace, and the baby elephant trumpeted excitedly and ran ahead. A herd emerged from behind the fever trees, 7 adult females and 4 calves. The baby ran toward them with a joyful squeal. But something went terribly wrong. The matriarch, an enormous female with 1 broken tusk, turned toward the calf, spread her ears wide, and bellowed a warning. The baby froze. A younger female charged forward, trunk raised threateningly. Another elephant kicked up dust in warning. They were rejecting her. This was the wrong herd. Elephants identify family by scent and infrasound calls, and this calf smelled foreign. Like me, like diesel, like everything except their bloodline. I rushed forward and grabbed the calf, pulling her backward. The matriarch mock-charged, stopping just meters away, her trumpet so loud it hurt my ears. I kept retreating, the trembling calf pressed against me, until we were safely out of range. The baby made heartbroken sounds, confused by the rejection. I realized we'd been following the wrong herd this entire time. Somewhere in this vast wilderness was her real mother, and we needed to start over. We returned to where the trails had split. That's when I spotted them. 5 hyenas on a distant ridge, silhouetted against the sky. The one-eyed leader and her pack. They'd been tracking us, waiting for darkness or exhaustion. Every minute we wasted brought us closer to danger. Back at the fork, I studied the second set of tracks, much fainter, almost imperceptible. The footprints were large but solitary, belonging to a lone adult elephant. A single female, traveling without her herd. Highly unusual. Female elephants are intensely social. They don't go off alone unless something is very wrong. The calf suddenly stopped, raised her trunk high, and began scenting the air frantically. Her ears perked forward, she made a sharp, excited chirp, and bolted down the faint trail so fast I had to jog to keep up. She'd recognized her mother's scent. We burst into a clearing at the base of a cliff, and I saw her, a large cow elephant lying beneath a baobab tree. Completely still, not even her ears moving. The calf ran to her with a piercing cry, touching her face with her trunk, pushing against her, trying to wake her. The mother didn't respond. I knelt beside her massive head and pressed my hand against her neck, searching for a pulse beneath the thick, wrinkled skin. Her body was warm, but I felt nothing. Were we too late? Then her eyes slowly opened. She was alive, but suffering, her gaze clouded with pain, her breathing shallow and labored. The calf trumpeted with relief and pressed herself against her mother's side. That's when I saw the cause of everything. On the elephant's right front leg, just above the knee, was a massive swelling. The size of a watermelon, the skin stretched tight and discolored. A severe abscess badly infected. The elephant couldn't walk properly. Every step would be agony. She'd fallen behind her herd because of the pain. She couldn't follow when the calf had wandered too far during grazing. That's why the baby had ended up alone, vulnerable, surrounded by hyenas. I grabbed my phone. Base, this is Amara. I need a veterinary team immediately. Sending GPS coordinates now. Adult female elephant with a critical leg abscess. I need Dr. Jabari Mensah and his full surgical kit. This is urgent. Roger, Dr. Okonkwo. Team is mobilizing. ETA 45 minutes. I sat down next to the elephant and waited. The calf, reunited with her mother, finally calmed and dozed against her warm bulk. 43 minutes later, a veterinary truck appeared through the dust. Dr. Mensah and his assistant, Nia, jumped out with equipment cases and quickly evaluated the situation. Jabari examined the abscess and shook his head grimly. We need to get her standing. The abscess is positioned so that lying down prevents proper drainage. The infection will spread deeper into the muscle tissue. Nia prepared a sedative dart and carefully administered it into the thick skin behind the elephant's ear. one of the few places thin enough for intramuscular injection. Mild tranquilizer, she explained. She'll be able to stand without pain, but she won't panic or fight us. Within minutes, the elephant began to rise, laboriously at first, her massive body swaying, but she made it to her feet. Her eyes were half-lidded but calm. She stood steady despite the sedation. Jabari approached with surgical instruments. This infection has been developing for at least 2 weeks. It's remarkable she's still mobile. He made a deep incision and thick, foul-smelling pus streamed from the wound. The calf saw this and rushed toward her mother with a distressed cry, trying to push Jabari away with her small trunk and head. She thought he was hurting her mother. I caught the calf and wrapped my arms around her. "It's okay, little one. He's helping. They're saving her." The calf trembled violently but gradually settled, watching intently as Jabari worked, her trunk never leaving my hand. Nia irrigated the abscess cavity with antiseptic solution, while Jabari debrided the dead tissue. The mother elephant stood remarkably still, only occasionally shifting her weight. The procedure took nearly 2 hours. Jabari placed a drainage tube and administered powerful antibiotics and anti-inflammatory medication. When they finished, Jabari turned to me with a tired smile. "She'll survive, Amara. Give her a month. She'll be back with her herd as if nothing happened. You found her just in time. 2 more days and she would have gone into septic shock." The sedative began wearing off. The elephant's eyes cleared, she looked around and rumbled softly, a sound I felt in my chest. The calf immediately ran to her, trumpeting and wrapping her small trunk around her mother's. The mother elephant curled her trunk around her baby and held her close. She took a few experimental steps, and I saw the limp had almost vanished. The excruciating pain was gone. For the next 3 weeks, I visited them daily, monitoring the wound, changing the drainage tube, administering medication. The calf learned to recognize the sound of my Land Cruiser and would come running to greet me, ears flapping, making happy rumbling sounds. The mother improved rapidly. The wound healed cleanly, her strength returned. She was browsing on acacia branches and finding water sources on her own. 1 month later, I made my final visit. The abscess had completely healed, leaving only a slightly paler patch of skin where the infection had been. The mother elephant stood in the shade of the baobab while her calf played nearby, noticeably larger now, more coordinated and confident. She mock-charged bushes, tested her trunk's strength on fallen branches, playfully bumped her mother's legs. I stepped out of the vehicle, and the calf trotted over, touching my face gently with her trunk. The mother elephant approached as well and made a low, resonant rumble, not threatening, something that felt like gratitude. In the distance, I heard the unmistakable sounds of elephants, deep rumbles, breaking branches, the shuffle of many feet. Her herd, finally returning to their range. The mother elephant turned toward the sound and answered with a powerful call that echoed across the plains. The calf wrapped her trunk around my wrist one final time, then hurried after her mother. I watched them walk away, the massive cow and her small calf, moving side by side, step for step. They headed toward the herd gathering near the waterhole and soon disappeared into the shimmering heat haze of the savannah, where they belonged.